Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 10 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 10 math and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter. So we're going to start with the chapter vectors. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Okay, here I'm on grade 10 math. Chapter we're on right now is vectors. Let's just start with the find the component from a vector given its magnitude and angle direction. The magnitude the magnitude of a vector B is 17 and its direction is angle theta equals 63 degree. What is the component of vector B? So we have to do B cos theta and B sin theta. That is 17 cos 63 and 17 sin 63. So that is 7.2 and 15.15. Let's just start with the test questions. The magnitude of vector x is 24 and its direction theta is 26 degree. Write the component form of x. So 24 24 cos 26 degrees and 24 sine 26 degrees. So let's just use the calculator. cos 26 equals cos 26 is equal to 0.8987. So 0.8987 times 26 is equal to 20. Sorry, wait. Cos 26 is 0.8987. So 0.8987 times 24, that is 21.57. Now sine 26 is 0.4383. So 0.4383 times 24, that equals 10.52. So option number 2 is the correct option. The correct option is option number 2. That is 21.57 and 10.52. The magnitude of a vector y is 5 and its direction angle theta equals 35. What are the components of y? So that would be b cos theta and b sin theta. So b is 5. That is 5 cos 35 and 5 sin 35. So cos 35 is 0.8191. So 0.81 0.8191 times 5, that equals 4.10. And sine 35 is 0.5735 and multiply by 5, that is 2.87. So option number 2 is the correct option. The correct option is 4.10 and 2.87. The magnitude of a vector x is 7 and its direction angle theta equals 77 degrees. Write the component form of the vector x. That is 7 cos 77 degrees and 7 sine 77 degrees. So cos 77, that is 0.2249. So 0.2249 times 7 is 1.57, and sine 77 is 0.9743 times 7, that is 6.82. So which is the correct option? Option number 1 is the correct option. 1.57 and 6.82 is the correct option. The magnitude of factor t is 2 and theta is 144 degrees. Write the from component form of 40. So that would be 2 cos 44 and 2 sine 44. So let's just evaluate cos 44, that is 0.7193 times 2, that equals 1.44, and sine 44 is 0.6946 times 2, that is 1.38. So option number 1 is the correct option, that is 1 point. Option 2 is the correct option, that is 1.44 and 1.39. Option number 2 is the correct option. So let's just evaluate b cos theta and b sin theta. B is 17, that is the magnitude of the vector, and theta is 53 degrees. So b cos theta and b sin theta, these are the components of the vector, x component and y component, right? So for the x component, we have to b is 17. 17 cos 53 degrees and 17 sine 53 degrees. Now let's just evaluate. So cos 53 is 0.6018 times 17, that is 10.23. Now sine 53. Sine 53 equals 0.7986 times 17. So the correct option is 13.57. We had the x component and the y components are 10.23 and So option number 1 is the correct option, that is 10.23 and 13.57. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is add and subtract factors. Find the sum a plus b. Okay, so we are going to find the sum of the factors a and b. So first thing we need to do is we need to find the vector a. Its initial point is 0, 0 and its terminal point is negative 9, 8. So the x component, so the a components of a are negative 9, 8. The components of b are 5 and 1. So we need to add x component to x component and y component to. Let's just start with the test questions. Find the sum of v and u. Let's just look at the points for v, that is 0, 0 and that is for the v, the initial point is 0, 0, the terminal point is negative 9 and 2. So that means the components for v are negative 9 and 2, right? Now for the w, that is negative 9, 2 and negative 1 and 8, right? Now we need to find out the components of the resultant factor, right? x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. So the components of vector w are 8 and 6. So use the Coordinate components of v and w and find their sum. Add x component to x component, negative 9 plus 8 and 6 plus 2. Negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1 and 8. So resultant factor of v and w is negative 1 and 8. Option number 2 is the correct option. They are negative 1 and 8. Okay, so we need to find the resultant factor of s plus t. So start with the vector s. The initial point is 0, 0. The terminal point is at negative 7 and 1. That is for vector s. Now for vector sorry. That is negative 7 and 1. And now find the x coordinate and y coordinate of the vector t. 0 and 8 it is, right? Now use these points and calculate the. This is the point you have to use. Add x component to x component and y component to y component. So that is negative 7 and 9. Negative 7 and 9. The correct option is negative 1 and 9. Sorry, not negative 7. That is negative 1 and 9. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, so let's just write down the components of both the vectors, then we can find the resultant factor, right? The resultant factor means sum of the vector means the sum of the two vectors, right? So let's just look at the vector s. The initial point of the s is 0, 0. The terminal point is at negative 1 and negative 8, right? So for the vector t, the first one is negative 1 and negative 8, then negative 4 and negative 8. So now let's just find down the component of the vector t. So negative 4 plus 1 is 3, negative 8, 3 and 0. So the resultant factor, that is s plus t, equals, you need to add x component. So x component 3 minus 1 is 2 and minus and 0 plus 8 is 8. So the resultant factor s plus t is 2 and 8. So 2 and 8. The resultant factor is, why not 2 and 8? Let me just see. 0, 0, negative 1, negative 8. For the E, that is negative 1, negative 8, negative 4, and negative 9 it is. I made it with negative 8. So negative 9, negative 9 plus 8 is minus 1. So minus 1 and let's just do the question again. I don't know what I did. Let's just do this question again so that we can find the correct answer. Okay, that is for the vector s, that is 0, 0, and the terminal is at negative 1 and negative 9. Oh, I think I did negative 8 it is. And for the t, that is negative 1, negative 9, and negative 4, negative 9. So the components are, okay, now we have to use these to find the resultant factor. Negative 2 and 9 there, right? The correct option is negative 2 and still I don't have negative 2 and 9. I don't know. So for the last question, negative 9 and negative 4. Oh, x is negative 9 and negative 4, right? So the correct option is negative 9, negative 4. Okay, the next lesson is Okay, so the initial point of vector A is 0, 0. The terminal is at -9 and 8. Okay, for the vector B, the initial point is at -9 and 8, and the terminal point is at -4 and 10, 9. So find out the factors from here. That is -9 plus 4 is -5. 8 minus 9 is -1. Let's just use these 2 points and find the terminal. That is -9 plus 5, -4, and 7, -4 and 7 it is. The correct option is yes, it is -4 and -9. Okay. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is graph a resultant vector using the triangle method. Graph A plus B and its initial point at the initial point of A. Okay, the initial point of B is the terminal point of A. So A plus B is the vector that completes the triangle, right? You just have to use the graph and draw the line, right? Just make the initial point of the vector A and the terminal point of the vector B and make the line. So for this lesson we have tutorial only. We don't do not have any test questions, right? So you can find a test questions on your notebook and do as many as you can so that you can understand easily, okay? So we were working on grade 10 math. Chapter we were working on is no questions. Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.